Some people think the Federal Reserve banks are United States government institutions. They are not government institutions. They are private credit monopolies which prey upon the people of the United States for the benefit of themselves and their foreign customers, foreign and domestic speculators and swindlers, and rich and predatory money lenders, the banks. And that dark crew of financial pirates. There are those who would cut a man's throat to get a dollar out of his pocket. There are those who send money into states to buy votes to control our legislation. And there are those who maintain an international propaganda for the purpose of deceiving us and of wheeling us into the granting of new concessions which will permit them to cover up their past misdeeds and fraud and set again in motion their gigantic train of unpunished crime. Those 12 private credit monopolies are deceitfully and disloyally foisted upon this country by bankers who came here from Europe and who repaid us for our hospitality by undermining our American institutions. The Fed basically works like this. The government granted its power to create money to the federal banks, central bank, the Federal Reserve. Banks create money from your signature on promissory notes or credit applications, then loan your money back to you and the government, charging interest and making you pay principal and interest on a presumed loan that they never gave you. The government levies your yearly paid income taxes to pay the interest on the national debt the United States government owes the private Federal Reserve International Bankers Corporation. On this point, it's interesting to note that the Federal Reserve Act and the 16th Amendment, which gave Congress the power to collect income taxes, were both passed in 1913 in December, when most of the Congress was out for holidays, for the Christmas holidays. The incredible power of the Fed over the economy is universally admitted. Some people, especially in the banking and academic communities, even support it. On the other hand, there are those, both in the past and in the present, that speak out against it. One of these men was President John F. Kennedy. His efforts were detailed in Jim Marrs' 1990 book, Crossfire. Another overlooked aspect of Kennedy's attempt to reform American society involves money. Kennedy apparently reasoned that by returning to the organic Constitution of 1779, the states that only Congress shall coin and regulate money, the soaring national debt could be reduced by not paying interest to the Federal Reserve Corporation system, who creates and prints paper money, then loans it to the government at interest. On June 4th, 1963, President Kennedy signed Executive Order 11110, which called for the issuance of $4,292,893,815,000 in United States notes through the U.S. Treasury through the traditional rather than the traditional Federal Reserve System. That means he was cutting the Federal Reserve System out. And that is why he was killed 5 days later. But the same day, Kennedy signed a bill changing the backing of $1 and $2 bills from silver to gold, adding strength to the weakened U.S. currency. A number of Kennedy bills were indeed issued with the heading, United States Note, but were quickly withdrawn after Kennedy's death a few days later, which is 5 days later. According to information from the Library of the Comptroller of the Currency, Executive Order 11110 remains in effect today. But today we continue to use worthless Federal Reserve notes, and the presumed deficit is at an all-time high. It is a debt system, and perpetuated debt is why it keeps running. Since the United States is no longer a republic, it is a democratic form of government, a debt form of government. The point is that the IRS taxes you pay aren't used for government services. It won't hurt you or the nation to legally reduce or eliminate your tax liability. And the debts you supposedly owe can be paid off using a special security instrument from www.debtloanpayoff.com in 90 days. Thank you.